In my last video, I explained what is AWS Step Functions and how it works. We ended the video on a cliffhanger on why do we bother with step functions when you can just as easily do all the orchestration in code inside a Lambda function. So in this video, let's compare these two options for implementing a workflow. My personal preference is to use Lambda for simple workflows and in cases where I need to optimize for cost, but use step functions for complex or business critical workflows where reliability and the ease of debugging is important. I'll explain my thinking for the rest of the video. But I also want to point out that you can use Lambda Destinations to chain multiple Lambda functions together. It's useful in very limited use cases. More on that later. So I think the argument for Lambda is pretty cut and dry, so let's start with that. Compared to step functions, Lambda is just simpler. You can do all the error handling, branching logic, and whatever else that you can do in step functions with just a few lines of code in your preferred programming language, which you're already familiar with and knows how to test. And it will probably be cheaper. If your state machine is going to use a lot of Lambda functions anyway, then you end up paying for those Lambda invocations on top of the state transitions for step functions. So if you just do all the orchestration in code in a single Lambda function, then it will most likely cost you less. But if all your code is doing is calling, say, DynamoDB, then you can also replace all those Lambda functions with direct integrations. Then there's no Lambda cost. And if you use an Express workflow, and since Express workflows cost about the same as Lambda, so there won't be much difference in this particular case. So it might be cheaper, but it depends. Similarly, using a single Lambda function to do everything might be more scalable. Again, if your state machine is using a lot of Lambda functions to do things, then your scalability is constrained by the rate limits for step functions as well as for Lambda, such as the number of state transitions per second or the number of concurrent Lambda invocations. So the overall scalability of your system is determined by whichever limit that you hit first. But if you're just using Lambda, then only the Lambda concurrent invocations limit apply. And the default limit for this is much higher than the default state transitions per second limit for step functions. So those are the arguments for Lambda. But anytime you use Lambda, you have to consider cold start and whether it will impact your user experience. Do you have synchronous workflows where a user will be waiting for a response while pulling their best buffer phase? And the max duration of 15 minutes is often not enough for workflows that require human intervention. And because you pay for execution time by the millisecond, it's just a really poor solution when it comes to waiting for something to happen, because all the execution time you're paying for is just wasted. And Step Functions with its pricing model for standard workflows is actually very good at waiting. But I think one of its biggest strengths is the fact that you can visualize the workflow executions, which makes debugging super easy. And it's not just for developers, this is also useful for customer support teams or whoever that's on the first and the second line of support, where they can quickly find a failed execution in the Step Functions console, see where the execution failed, and by looking at all the inputs and outputs and maybe the error message, they can figure out what the problem is without needing to have intimate understanding of the code, because the business process itself has been surfaced up to the design of the state machine. And you've got a complete audit history for everything that's happened. Every time a state starts or finishes or errors, you can look at the input and output and check the error message and the stack trace when things go wrong. Again, debugging is just so easy with Step Functions. And you have direct integration with pretty much every single AWS service, so you don't really need to use Lambda functions for everything. And no Lambda means no cold starts, and that's going to give you a more predictable performance. And it's very flexible because it's high max duration and the ability to implement things like callback patterns. But my personal favorite thing about Step Functions and why I like to use it for business critical workflows is that it allows you to implement more robust error handling. Consider a simple task state. You can add a retry for different types of errors with exponential backoff where applicable, and you can add a catch clause to handle the error after all the retries have been exhausted. But hey, you can do that with Lambda as well, with just a few lines of code, and it's even easier than Step Functions, until you stop to think about what that means to the function's timeout setting. If this is how long your code should take to run, But then you have to factor in the time it's going to take to do the retries with the exponential backoff in between. And in the worst case scenario, you also have to do some error handling after the retries have been exhausted. And if we need to make this application really reliable, then we should probably also have retries in the error handling logic as well, right? So what timeout should I use for this function? Oh wait, that was just one step in the workflow. What if I'm doing more than one thing? If I need to make this application reliable, I probably need robust error handling and retries for everything, right? Including the error handling logic itself. So what timeout should I use? Should I just slap 15 minutes on every function? I could, but that goes against security best practices for Lambda, which says you should use short timeouts so that in the event of a business logic error or a denial of service attack, you don't end up paying for millions of executions that are 15 minutes long each. Remember, you pay for execution time by the millisecond. So having a short, sensible timeout for Lambda is actually an important security posture. Well, if you move the error handling and retries out to the state machine, then you don't have to worry about that anymore, and just use whatever timeout makes sense for the happy path. Again, this is a big reason why I prefer step functions for business critical workflows, because it makes building highly reliable applications much more feasible. But on the other hand, you do pay extra for that reliability, as we discussed earlier, and there's a learning curve to step functions, including having to learn the Amazon state language. And it's a lot more things to configure and manage and set up, and it can be a lot of overhead, arguably too much overhead for a simple workflow. And lastly, it's difficult to test step functions. In fact, most people struggle with this, which is why in my serverless testing course, I dedicated a whole chapter on testing step functions, which includes executable code samples and with over 2 hours of learning material to teach you how I test step functions, both locally and with end-to-end tests, and when to do which. And right now, you can get 15% off the course with the code PandaTube15. Anyways, I mentioned earlier that Lambda Destinations is also another way you can implement workflows by training Lambda functions together using the onSuccess destination. This approach is okay for those really simple one-hop workflows. For example, when an async function finishes processing an event and wants to offload some secondary responsibility, like sending an analytics event to some third-party system, then this makes sense. Because if the second step fails and gets retried, only the second step is retried, and you don't have to worry about processing the original event twice. But beyond these one-hop workflows, I wouldn't use it for anything more than that, because while it's better than those lambda-to-lambda calls for chaining functions together, you have very limited visibility into what's going on. If you enable active tracing with X-ray, then they can show up there, but X-ray is heavily sampled by default, so chances are most of your workflow executions are still going to be invisible. And its asynchronous nature makes debugging and error handling difficult. You need to have alerts and a delta queue set up for every single step, otherwise you wouldn't even know when something is wrong, and you can suffer loss of data or events. In general, it's just much harder to debug, and you can easily sink tens of hours into solving a bug that would take you 10 minutes with step functions. Because it's just more complex to manage, so it's not an option that I will use, except for those one-hop examples that I mentioned earlier. And that's it for this comparison of building workflows using Lambda functions versus AWS Step Functions. If you have enjoyed this and learned something new, then please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It will really help me out and allow me to share more tips about serverless development. Until next time, see ya! Hi, I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you do, why not check out these other videos and learn more about serverless development.